Welcome to M&A Unpacked, the weekly show where we bring on experts in MSP M&A, case studies from those who have gone through or going through the process, and top M&A and business minds to help you maximize the value of your MSP, whether you're buying, selling, or just trying to improve your business. Please make sure to subscribe to the Kaseya YouTube channel so you know when new episodes drop, and you can even save that M&A Unpacked playlist for easy access. Today, I am joined by Jim Reichard, who is the founder and CEO of Alltech IT Solutions. Jim, thanks for being here.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
So I'm going to dive right in. I mean, you have a pretty remarkable growth journey, tripling your company's size in just 3 years. Can you share what inspired you to double down on growth and what steps you took to achieve this success? Take us back to the beginning.
Yeah, back to the beginning goes all the way back to 2004, so I'll try to compact that. But we basically grew the company. We got to about $1 million and just kind of parked. Couldn't really grow a whole lot, just kind of ran stagnant. It was very challenging to kind of get to that next step. And it was at that time that I was approached by a broker, and they started, we just had some conversations, and it kind of lit a fire, and I started reading a lot of things about mergers and acquisitions and things like that. So I started kind of looking around and was introduced to a company in town that was small, and it was a business owner who was kind of looking to get out of IT. He had bought a company and wasn't very happy, and realized he didn't want to be a business owner. He wasn't wired for it. So he sold us the company, and we kind of almost doubled in size by doing that. And I said, wow, this is kind of cool. Did that again. We went forward, and about 2009-ish, we were kind of stagnant again at 2 million. We just kind of sat there 1.8-ish. And for a long time, we just sat in that one spot, never really, moved forward. And I kind of got to the point where I was getting kind of burnt out. I didn't really want to, it was very status quo. And I said, man, I got to do something or I'm going to burn it down. I started thinking about it, and I went back, started talking to brokers again. We ran a campaign, and I had a marketing caller, and I had my caller start calling on businesses and making appointments to talk to owners and things like that. And at that point in time, we ended up getting engaged with another company here in Alabama, and ultimately doubled our company again overnight. And at that point, it was like, okay, that was cool. It was a wild ride, but it did a lot of really great things to kind of take us to the next level. It engaged me again, got me excited about the business again. It was really hard and very challenging, but in doing it, I think it was worth it. And then after that, we decided, hey, this is the way to go. I looked at paying salespeople, and I can buy $2 million in revenue for the same price as it cost me for 2 salespeople. And, they won't produce $2 million in revenue in a year and 2 years, sometimes, 5 years. I don't know, depending upon, how they function. At least that's been my experience. So I decided to continue down that road. And then we bought another small MSP after that, and have continued to kind of roll up and go. And we're at 6 million this year. We're looking at hopefully pegging 8 million by next year. So it's been a wild ride, but I wouldn't change it for anything.
That's awesome. But now you have pretty aggressive growth goals. You talked about having plans to acquire multiple companies in the next year. What do you look for in your acquisition target, and how do you ensure that you get a smooth integration into your existing operations?
Sure. So I don't know that there is a such thing as a smooth integration, but it's the first thing I really look at is a culture match, right? The first thing we want to do is we want to kind of date a little bit and learn each other's culture and our isms to make sure that their team is going to mesh with our team, that the tools that we use, it's so much easier if we're on the same tool stack. One of the larger acquisitions we did, we were all on the same tool stack, and we had, similar product line. So it was really easy to be able to go in and integrate those products, which made for as smooth of an integration, I think, as we could have had. Um, but I think that culture is really, really important because, if you don't have the same culture, it's going to be really hard. You got to, teach people to behave differently, which is probably the hardest thing you can do. But the our culture is very much, high performance and family oriented. So it's not terrible to be able to achieve that. Um, it's very helpful, for everybody to kind of be in that same mindset. We look for somebody with steady, consistent growth, or at least steady growth over the last, 2 to 3 years. Best if they have strong EBITDA, things like that. Ideally, we'd be looking for an owner to pass the torch, or alternatively, an owner who doesn't want to deal with, the day-to-day operations. I just recently we're in an engagement right now. I've got an LOI on a company up north, and it's a scenario where the owner is an older fella. He's in his late 60s, and he's like, "Look, I just want to do what I do." He said, "I really love what I do. I don't want to stop working. I love the sales aspect. I love the quarterly business reviews. I love doing a little bit of the new tech and AI and stuff like that. But I just don't want to deal with payroll and accounting and bookkeeping and human resources and all that kind of garbage. And I don't want to mess with any of that stuff." But I'd still love to continue until I don't want to anymore. So, we talked about a deal, and we worked a deal up where he stays on board and he's going to manage and run that location, and we're going to absorb all those things that he doesn't want to do. And I think it's going to be great for all of us. We'll combine, and everything will get, hopefully better. For him, it takes that weight of the world off his shoulders. He doesn't have to worry about all that stuff anymore, and gets to keep going down the road. So that's kind of, what opportunities that we would look for.
And you've talked about AI and automation. Can you expand on how the tools have kind of transformed your operations, and what advice you'd give to MSPs considering similar investments?
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're not doing stuff with AI, shame on you being in a technology industry. So I would tell anybody out there, if you're not familiar with it, get familiar with it, use it. It is the future. It's not going away. There's so many things that you can do with it to make life easier or more efficient, right? That's another big part of our culture. Everything we do is really, really efficient. Everything is wrapped around efficiencies. We want to make sure that, we work smarter, not harder. It's not just your RMM tool, running automated tickets and things like that. We're using things like Roost to get into our ticket system and analyze those tickets and give suggestive inputs, like, hey, this ticket was put in, here's, we checked, and here's 5 different resolutions to this problem, or, here's things that could possibly be related to this, and it's been really, really helpful to the techs and engineers because it's the collective kind of looking at it. It's also doing things like documentation for us. We can use Roost to go out and chase user documentation. Like if we want to know how many users are in an organization that are logged into 365 or Active Directory or whatever, what are their names, what are their first name, last name, email address, whatever, we can pull that data and pull it directly from wherever it lives into something like IT Glue, where no one manually had to do that. It's just automated. Ticket flows. We're using it for accounting dashboards and things like that to be able to deliver data. It's been tremendously, tremendously helpful. We're also using things to generate leads from AI, lead generation engines to give us lists to call. We're doing some custom listing based on people that have, clicked on things or looked at things and said, they're actually looking for the things that we're selling. So we take those lists and we isolate, the people that fall into the groups that we want to talk to. And then what we're also doing is using AI as a salesperson we have an actual AI caller that can actually call people and set appointments, and yeah, actually set appointments into our calendar and kind of do that cold calling that no one wants to do. And it's a really cool product, and we're hoping that that's going to be kind of a rock star for us. But you can do like 40,000 calls a minute. It's nuts. Um,
Do people
so
know it's a AI? I mean, like, does anybody ever call you on that and go, am I talking to a person?
yeah, I mean, sometimes it's well that, and that's actually the AI is trained to answer that question, right? We've actually trained logic into it. So if it, if it's asked, hey, am I talking to AI? Is this a human being? It's actually got a response for that where it will say, hey, I'm an AI, agent, blah, blah, blah. And it talks about, its capabilities and so forth, and can answer any question you can ask it. It's pretty unique.
Cutting edge, man. That's really, really cool. And that's been, I guess, I mean, if you're answering that question honestly, I mean, what can they say, right? Like, that's got to be a huge thing, because cold calling is such a challenge for so many people.
Sure. And it's a huge amount of turnover too, right? So if we can train that agent, and the really cool part about the agent, you can give it a dialect and speed it up, slow it down, for different regions of the country. If we're calling people in the South, we can slow it down a little bit. We can give it a little bit of a Southern accent. If we're calling up in, the New York area, we can speed it up and, give it a little bit of a Northern accent, and it's really, really neat to be able to mess with that. Another thing I did with AI just the other day, we were going to a conference, and the conference said, hey, you get a 45-second commercial that you get to put out and talk about your business. So just for kicks and giggles, I went into AI and I built a AI commercial in like 10 minutes that was like a top of the line, edited, ready to go with voiceovers, music, and images. Like 10 minutes of my life I spent building this. I don't know what that would have cost me before to have a company build for me, but in 10 minutes I was able to build a really awesome, presentation for my company. I even put a British voice in there and did it. It was done up in a way where, like, in a world where, technology is blah blah blah, and it turned out really cool. And I was just screwing around. I wasn't even trying to really be serious with it. But when it came out, I was like, wow, this is actually good. We're going to turn it loose.
Awesome. Wow. That's crazy. I mean, I don't even know what to say to some of this stuff. I'm blown away. I'm pretty active with AI, and I'm blown away day after day with the leaps and the bounds that are being made in artificial intelligence. And I'm with you, as a technology company, you have to be in it, because you're gonna have to support it, and you're gonna probably have to help people get out of trouble that they've got in from AI,
Oh,
from
for
a security.
sure. Yeah, we're actually dealing with that. So our company, we have a full team of certified ethical hackers and penetration testers and stuff like that. And the first thing they did is when Copilot was, started releasing, the first thing they did was come to me and go, hey, this is a huge security risk. Because if you don't put any restrictions on this thing, I mean, there's no limit to what it can get into, and what the users can see and access, and the information that it can gather and stuff like that if you don't, put some restrictions on it. So we immediately had to get out there and start, having those discussions with clients and go, hey, are you sure you want this? And then we had to understand, what its true capabilities are, so we know how to deal with that. Because people just aren't ready for that. I mean, I think they are and they aren't. They're, from a security standpoint, they're not prepared because they're not thinking that way. They're thinking, wow, what a cool tool that I have to go play with, but they're not thinking about, this tool opens the door for all these other terrible things that could potentially happen. So
Yeah.
um,
And the alarming thing with AI that I've seen is that since Chat GPT, really, because AI has been around before that, but
sure.
it became, OpenAI came out with ChatGPT and launched that, and it just took off. Every month or so, at least every quarter, we are seeing advances that are happening. So there's such large advances that you can get lost in them. And I go back to, I remember when I was at a marketing agency in the beginning, when social media was brand new, and I did a lot of education and talks on social media, and it was growing. what I thought was fast, but nothing in comparison today. And it was hard for people to grasp. It took a lot of years to get normal businesses, everyday businesses, to go and really dive into it. It took a lot
Yeah.
of time for adoption. These changes are dramatic, how fast and they're coming at us.
Oh yeah, it's exponential growth for sure. People, I like say some people are ready for it, some people aren't, but I say use it. It's there. It's a tool. It can really make some huge efficiencies in pretty much everything you do. Another thing that I've done with it, just for kicks and giggles, I went out and let's say I've got we were hiring for an engineer position, so I took 5 resumes. And I said, these are my top 5 candidates. And I threw it into the GPT engine. And I said, tell me, act as if you're a business owner of an X company, MSP, blah, blah, blah. And tell me which of these 5 candidates is the best one and why. And within seconds, it came back and gave me all the reasons why, top 3, this is number 1, 2, 3. Comes back, gives me all the reasons why. And then, of course, being a human, not trusting AI, I went back and actually read the resumes, looked at them and identified characteristics and said, you know what, this thing is absolutely right based on this information. So I was amazed. I was like, wow, but what a time-saving exercise. Obviously mileage may vary, right? You got to check it, but at the same time, if it's already pulling the bullet points for you and saving you the too long didn't read version, you can just be more efficient and do more with less.
That's a great segue into my next question, actually. You talked a lot about your focus on building a strong and cohesive team and focusing on great culture. How does that play into your strategy for managing and retaining talent across your growing organization?
Yeah, that's growing a good team is like really, really important. Your team is your number one asset. Um, every time you have turnover, it slows the growth down of the company immensely. It creates feelings of instability with your clients. You've got to train your people. You've got to keep them happy. You want to make it so they don't want to leave, right? Because burnout is a real thing in our industry, right? It's really bad. You have these people that do the same stuff over and over and over again every day, especially in the cybersecurity industry, and that side of it, it gets really bad. So, we try to create an environment where they actually want to come to work every day. We have a lot of fun, we goof off. I don't know if I want to talk about all the things they do in the office in public, but it's a fun environment. We try to build that family oriented environment where they're continually showing them that they're doing a great job too. One of the things that we do to kind of help them with that too is like CSAT scores and things like that. Sure, they have metrics and KPIs that we want them to meet, but at the same time, we want to hit the other side of that, right? Because an old ism of mine is, a pat on the back is only 18 inches from a kick in the butt, right? Well, in our industry, you get a lot of negative criticism, and people are not always willing to go, "Hey, you did a really great job for me. I just wanted you to know that." We don't hear that near as much as when you've done something wrong and it's panic mode and there's crisis and everybody's, I can't work, we're losing money, blah, 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 whatever the thing may be. So we kind of developed a culture of positivity, stay on the positive wavelength, stay happy, stay up on things. And the CSAT scores and things like that really help them and it also helps the customers to engage and recognize that their team is doing a good job for them, so they can give that recognition to the technicians, to the engineers when they do interact with them, but it also kind of forces the customer to go, yes, they are doing a good job. And then when you sit in the quarterly business reviews, you sit down with the client and you go, hey, we did 9,000 tickets for you guys, and out of 30% of those, whatever the numbers are, all the ones we got back were positive, or we only had 2 negative out of all of that. Hey, we're doing a great job for the customer. And then, the employees see that on a regular basis when those CSAT scores come in. We even have contests, we've got one running right now through the end of the year, who can get the best $1,000 bonus for the most positive CSAT scores between now and the end of the year.
You're talking to the MSP community right now. There's tons of potential sellers listening. Who is a good MSP? Give us an idea of who you would want to talk to, where in the country, where in the world, size, shape.
Sure. We're not super picky, picky is relative, right? Obviously it's hard to acquire a failing business, but the other side of that is, from a location standpoint, we really don't care where you're located. I have LOIs on companies in 3 different parts of the country right now. I don't have anybody international, but I'm not afraid to have a conversation. We are, ideally East Coast, eastern half of the United States. Southeast is perfect, but eastern half of the United States would be ideal for us. If you're an MSP that is looking to exit entirely because you're looking at this game and you're going, hey, I'm slowing down and I don't want to get run over. We'd love to have a conversation to see what that exit looks like for you. And if you're an MSP that is, an owner or partners or whatever that are going, hey, I want to grow, I want to do great things, I'm not really sure how, and you love to partner with us and work with us, we could absolutely have those conversations. We've done a lot of really, really great things, and we just want to talk to other people that are motivated and want to have the conversations with us. Culture is really important. We want to help people win. We want to invite people to be part of our leading team and be out there and just have that really good energy. So if we also want to talk to those guys that just look at this and go, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. We can help with an exit in that regard too. There's things are changing. It's really hard to keep up, and there's a conversation to be had with all different kinds of people with all different kinds of mindsets, and we just have to have those conversations and see what they turn into. So we're willing to talk to pretty much anybody that wants to have a conversation.
Cool. Let us know. Let folks know how to get in touch with you.
Yeah, you can reach out to me direct. You can email me at sales@alltechsupport.com. It's ALLTECH support.com. Or you can give us a shout on our main company line at 205-290-0215. Or you can reach us on the web at criticalsystemprotection.com. That's an easy one for people to remember. And I'd love to talk to you guys in any way we can.
Awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your busy schedule to share with the MSP community. And for everyone watching, thank you. And tune in every Monday on the Kaseya YouTube channel for another episode of M&A Unpacked. And if you're not yet a member of the M&A Concierge platform for MSPs, make sure to apply today. It's an amazing platform and is 100% free for both buyers and sellers. See you next time, everyone.